Fine, Sudarshan. Yeah.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Shika, for allowing me to share my screen. Uh, Good evening, everyone. I'm Sudarshan Negi from Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, CMIE. Thank you for giving this opportunity to present Provis database and guide you how you can use this database for your research, for your classroom, projects, and even for the classroom studies, I will say. So, uh, as some of you are aware of what Provis, provide, I will be going through very basics, what it cover, how you can query on the Provis database, how you can, get the financial data relating to any set of companies. Will be very basic, specific, relating to, and whenever, if any of the participant will have a query, they can just ask, but let's keep the Q&A at the end of the session, so that we do not miss out some of the triggers by which the data can be extracted. I will cover almost every part of the Provis database uh, to frame your query accordingly. So Provis is one of the largest database, queryable database on Indian firms, I will say. It cover all the listed companies and most of the unlisted companies which are registered in India. This is the largest standardized database, queryable database, where you can run your query and you can find the data which meets your requirement. It provides you the standardized audited financial data. On the basis of that, it gives you the horn ratios, and where you can use the powerful queryable tool for getting that data fetched on your system. It gives you all the listed companies financial data. We are providing the annual financial, quarterly financials, and the stock feeds from NSE, BSE, and SEBI. So the source, which where I will say the source is the reliable area from where we are capturing all this database is MCA, NSE, BSE. Even from the official website of the companies, we are capturing the data, like news relating to the companies, is also provided by CMI support website. The coverage area is so good that you can see we are covering unlisted companies, that is 46,000 unlisted companies, public sector companies, private sector companies, and the foreign owned companies, whereas the Indian private sector companies are 40, almost 48, thousand companies. If we talk about, say, specific sectors, so manufacturing sector, we are covering 17,000 and above companies from the manufacturing sector, where you can query on the manufacturing sector, like, a specific industry, drug and pharmaceutical, and you can find out those companies in the drug and pharmaceutical and look into their performance, whether the stock market performance or, say, the annual financial performance of those companies. This number of companies, currently we have 51,700 something companies in our database. For every company we are providing 821 tabulation, that means report per company. So we are providing a report on their profile, how, what is their profile, their identity and background, their ownership and governance reports, the related party transactions. So some of the faculties may be interested into, say, working on corporate governance detail. So you can look into those reports, time series report on ownership and governance. Financial statement, we are providing 689 financial reports on annual and quarterly financials. So under annual, there is the same disclosure on income and expenditure reports are there, default reports on summary report. Summary report is one of the very useful report, executive summary, if you will look into, which tells you about the 10-year performance, financial performance of the company by default. Income, expenditure, liabilities, assets, balance sheet, cash flow, financial ratios. For banking and NBFC, we have a separate kind of reports which is disclosed by the banking, companies. We cover stock prices and ratios, capital history, uh, of the companies. Business segment and product is also again a strong hand of Provis database, where you can find out companies, like if you have a query that you want those companies whose income from a particular business product is more than 50%, and you can query the same thing on Provis database from the business and segment query triggers. So it allows you to query on products, raw materials, and look into the geographical segment in which the company is doing the work. Again, energy consumption, product-wise energy consumption is also disclosed, but as it is not a mandatory disclosure, previously it was. But currently, the energy disclosure is not as granular as it was earlier. Uh, but majority of the companies are disclosing it. CapEx and merger and acquisition data, we are providing the outstanding project announced and under-implemented project details of all those companies which are in our database. Merger and acquisition detail of all those companies which are part of Provis database you will find, and you can easily query on last 365 days how many merger and acquisition have been done in the corporate sector in any of the industry. Index, we cover all the indices, NSE and BSE indices. Uh, you can specifically look into like BSE Sensex, Nifty 50, BSE 100, 200, 300, and you can work on those listed companies' data. Query triggers, the data is provided on financials, annual financial. Under financial statement, we are not only giving the annual financial, interim financial, but also the credit rating data, which we are covering from different rating agencies like CRISIL. We also provide the RBI approval for ECB, schedule of investments, stock prices, bulk, dividend declaration, change in capital data under stock prices and capital changes. Segment wise, I have explained that we are covering, all those products from where the company is getting revenue. You can also find out a plant by location, geographical location or state or district wise also. Ownership and governance clearly cover all those detail on directors, promoters, and their bankers, auditors, registers. Even you want to look into the subsidiary, how many companies are subsidiary of, let's say, Tata Consultancy. You can look into that particularly. Other details are the basic information, identity indicators, year of incorporation, address, executive, batch framing, merger and acquisition. These are the other details which we cover and we provide through different query triggers. So there are 80 query triggers on which you can query according to your data requirement. We'll quickly move to the Provis IQ website. So as Provis IQ service is provided through two platforms. One is the support website where you cannot extract the data, but you can download the annual reports and pages of annual reports. You can look into the news and their stock announcement, stock notices. You can interact by see clarification over here with our analyst team who's handling the Provis database. They can answer your query in the see clarification area, and you will just get notified by your official mail by CMI when your queries has been answered within a day. Actually, you can look into the short YouTube tutorial videos to understand how you can query on the Provis database, which we are providing in the knowledge base. I will get into this later on. Will take you through the interface of Provis database, which is an application base where you can download the exe file and install it on a Windows system to access the Provis application. Once you log in, you will find this interface of Provis IQ, which shows it's as it looks very powerful when you are interacting with this database. We have 5 tabs in the top of the screen. You can see the query builder is the first section where the classification of triggers are, as you can see, how if you are selecting a company. So these 3 way These three triggers are for how you can select a company or a set of companies. If you want the data on basic indicator, you have to select these address, basic identity indicator triggers to get that particular kind of basic details like their address, contact details, their SIN code, their listing dates, their other details. Ownership, structure, and governance give you all these triggers where you can, extract the data on their owners and ownership and, directors details. So these are the triggers where you have to select a particular trigger and you have to execute that trigger. Once you execute a trigger over here, either you can take the data to the output view, or you can take the data to the, worksheet area. There are two options where you can extract the data. The third option is also available, where you can extract a panel data using the text format, which I will tell you how you can do it using different query triggers. Once you select any of the set of companies or say search any of the company, you can look into the report viewer section where we are providing all those 821 reports, and you can navigate between company to company to look into the kind of reports which having the same kind of classification as it is seen over here. Fourth and last is the command history and planner. So command history and planner gives you the power to use your commands which you have already executed. And you can use those multiple commands on any set of companies later on by framing a small batch. And even a single click, even in a one or two click, you can get that kind of data on any set of companies. Let's say you have saved your hundreds of commands and you want to execute it on any of the industry, any of the indices, you can do that. That is possible in our database. So you can search a company, you can import a list of company, you can paste it over here when you are, working on a list of company. You can search on this automatic search bar like RIL, Reliance Industries Limited. You can search any of the company or bank like SBI, that is State Bank of India, Hindustan Unilever. I'm just selecting some of the companies across the industries so that I can give a valid example how you can look into those financials. So these four companies I have selected using this arrow. I've searched. This is an automatic search bar. It just picked the first letter which you have written over here, ACC, and it gives all those companies which are available in our database, where the ACC is the first, letter I will say. Once you have selected these companies and you are observing or you are looking into how these four companies are performing, you want to individually look into their performance. So you can just directly come to the report viewer section as these are selected. So they will be visible in our report viewer section, like Reliance, State Bank of India, Hindustan Unilever, ACC Limited. If you are not extracting a data, you can always look into the report and understand how over a period of time how these companies are performing. So this one pager profile gives you the financial picture as well as the basic data that how the company is actually doing over the last 6 quarters and last 6 years. So ownership details, address, shareholding pattern is there. If the company is listed, you will find the BSE listing data, that the closing price, earning per share, price to earning, market cap. Their return, 1 month return is 11%, 11.53% for the Reliance Industries Limited. And if you look into the 12-month return, it's 7.64. It not only gives the indicator, it gives you the picture how it is performing in the last 6 quarters. You can look into the growth, profitability, and the last 6 annual performance of Reliance Industry. You can always switch between the company when if you are interested in say that how Hindustan Unilever is performing. So the same report will be open for another company actually. You can search a report from here, like company background, which is very important report, company back, and it will take you wherever the company background is written. So this company background report gives you 250-word write-up, which tells you where the company is listed. It listed in the BSE and NSE stock exchange. It gives you the last year performance of the company, how the company is performing. So it says Hindustan Unilever ranked first in cosmetic, toiletry, and soap and detergent industry in terms of sales revenue in the year 1920. Whereas if we see the Reliance industry, it ranks second in the refinery industry. State Bank shows, the banking service industry in terms of sales revenue in the year 2021. ACC Limited, it's a second, in the rank in the cement industry in terms of sales revenue. And it gives you the large size. It's a large size company. It earns sales revenue of this much. The profitable company in the past 21 years. So this is a profitable company from the past 21 years, and it gives actually very detailed that what actually the company is performing over a period of time. And within 250 word, it gives almost a picture without looking into a data. This report can help you in understanding the performance of ACC Limited. It's a low leverage company with a debt equity ratio of 0.008 times. Ownership and governance, this particular section gives you the data on corporate governance, where you can look into the trend in equity ownership. So on quarter, we can see how this percentage change and the promoters and non-promoters has been there. What is the amount of institutional investment? This is the institutional investment, how it goes over a period of time, and you can look into that. Their pledge shares, their ownership details, their governance details are available. The trend in director remuneration, the board committees and meetings, what was the purpose? You can look into those purpose of board of the meeting, but this is the committees. And these committees are capital expenditure committee, whatever committees have been mentioned, you will find the members and how many times they have attended the meeting. Composition of board of directors, again, very important report when you are researching on corporate governance. It gives you the composition of the company, that what is the percentage of independent, non-independent uh, shareholders, promoters, executive, non-executive, directors, promoters, and non-promoters over here. Board meeting and date and purposes, it gives you when the board meeting has been held and what was the purpose of these board meeting. Financial statements, so the classification is almost same as you have seen in the query builder. So we are providing the interim financial reports, we are providing the annual financial reports over here. So summary, executive summary report is very important report when you are doing a financial study on a say on a single company and looking how it has changed and how the performance have changed over a period of time. V shows you value in terms of crore, GY shows you growth in year-on-year performance. So if I say ACC Limited, how ACC Limited has performed, so it says there is a 12% fall in total income as compared to the 2019. And it also provides you the compounded annual rate of growth from the year 2012 to 2020 actually. So it gives you a CARG ratio over here, which is very useful when you are looking into the time series data. If the researcher are working on the yield values, index value is also provided over here. So by default, as the data is for 10 years, so it gives you the last year as your base year, that is 2010, and then you can see how the performance have changed in 2013, 15, 18, or 20 as compared to 2011. Not only that, you can change and make as per your requirement. Let's say you want the data and compare it on the basis of 5 year. You can use 5 as a base year and you can compare it on the basis of that. Now 2016 is the base year and you can compare on the basis of that these 4 year performance. So you can always change the data that for you want the data for 10 year, 15 year, 20 year, and you can just change the period from this particular option, currency in crores or million, and just reload your report. It will give you all those data for 10, 20 year, whatever you have, selected. So now from 2002 to 2020 reports is available. Uh, the thing and the important thing which I was I've discussed just a few minutes back, that we are providing the traceback facility. So the traceback facility is that if you are comparing any of the year number which is provided in the report, so as you can see, the sales value is 13,778.74 crore, and you want to know how the sales have been computed and how it has been disclosed into the annual report. You can look into the report data description. It will be very useful for researcher to look into such kind of details which we are providing. So at level 1, this is the classification how the sales is computed: industrial sales plus non-financial services income. Whereas if we look at level 2, the sales has been computed like this. The industrial sales is computed by sales of goods, sales of scrap, sales of raw material, and these are the details over here. If you want to check a particular number like sales of scrap, that is 23.21, and you have to click on this A written over here, that it shows that 123 page number carry the scrap value from the annual report, and it will just show you the page, and you can just look and verify whether the number which is provided into our report is actually what the source page is showing you. So you can always navigate between this particular to see. So this is, if I zoom it up, I think users are able to see my screen. And is my voice clear? You can see the number sales, scrap sales is given over here, 23.21. So this is the trust we are building, for the researcher, that we are provide whatever data we are providing. You can always trace back it from the annual report, and not only that, you can look into all these figures and all these indicators, and you can just check whether what amount and what bifurcation is provided for all these data. Is it clear? And not only that, you can look into the level 2, but you can look into any of the year. This is currently December 2020. You can look into December 2019, 18, 17, and there's a full time series bifurcation is provided over here. The cash flow is again a very important report, where you can look how the income from operating activities and from financial activities, investing activities are there. These reports are very easily downloadable by save as Excel option over here. So you can download at your system. You can save it, whichever report you find useful for your research or say classroom studies. Expenses. So summary indicator provides you the 10-year data, where the peer comparison gives you and compare a company with its peers. So ACC Cement belongs to the cement industry. All these other companies, if you see the name, there is a cement written over here: Ambuja Cement, Andhra Cement, Elcon Cement. So these are the peers, and you can compare ACC Limited and those their peers on the basis of shareholder fund reserves and fund long-term borrowing. So these are the default indicators on the basis of which you can compare actually. Their next fixed asset net margin. Not only that, you can compare ACC with its industry benchmark. So we are providing the 3-year benchmark for the industry. So if you have selected right now ACC company from the report viewer, so you will get the ACC company benchmark, and you can see how the ACC company is performing, whether they have overperformed or underperformed for those years. So this is 2018, 19, and 20 performance of ACC company, and this is the benchmark of 3 year for the cement industry. So for the, 2019, if we see the total income and compare it with the 2019 cement, so it shows you the ACC cement have underperformed as far as the cement industry benchmark is concerned for the particular this year 19 to 19. For 20, as these numbers are on the red, so it shows you, we are providing the sample size by which this benchmark has been formed. So this benchmark has been formed by 94 company, 93 company, and the current year benchmark is formed by only to 26 company. That means some of the companies have still not filed their return, and that is why the sample is a little bit weak, which may not be the right time to just look into that benchmark, but you can always compare 2019 and 20 performance actually. 19 with 19 and 20 with 20. uh, so executive summary gives you the 10-year performance, but if you are looking into the granularity on expenses, revenue, you can always look into those reports. So for in this particular report, we are providing the expenses and revenue details. Whereas if you want much further detail on expenditure or income, so these are the separate reports which we are providing on expenses and income. That how the income is computed. So this is how the income they are getting, sales they are getting from these way, and income from financial service, how they are getting income from financial services, other income how they are getting. These are the prior period and extraordinary incomes. Securities daily prices and volume reports is available for all all the listed companies. It is clear. Valuation indicator and ratios are provided, so you can look into the return on net worth, return on capital employed, return on total assets, their price to earning per share. So this report is very useful when you are looking into the performance of those in listed companies, uh, and comparing it on the basis of these valuation indicators and ratios. Dividend, when the dividend was have been given, so dividend rate is there, dividend per share, final interim dividend, and what was the record and ex dividend date. We provide the capital history details. We do provide the business segment where the plant location is there. So you can see ACC Limited have this 10 or 15 number of plant location all over India, and these are some mostly everyone is producing the gray cement product. States are different, locations are different. It depends upon company whether they are disclosing the product segment wise sales or not, or geographical sales segment or not. So as it is not a mandatory disclosure, but some of the companies, major companies do that. Otherwise, you can always look into the product and details, which is disclosed by every company. So ACC Limited is segment-wise sale. You can see the cement sale is over here. Ready mix concrete, ready mix concrete. If we look into the Hindustan Unilever, so this is their segment-wise sale, product segment-wise sale. Beverages, they are getting this much amount of revenue by export, by food, by ice cream, and the complete breakup is available. Geographical wise, not sure that the companies are disclosing, but yeah, Hindustan Unilever is disclosing for India, they are getting this much amount of revenue. But as this data can be clearly seen, this data is for till 2014 and 15 only. This is not a mandatory disclosure, so not disclosed by a company. Product detail is disclosed by almost every company, I will say. It tells you what amount of revenue they are generating from a different product. What is the project? So Hindustan Unilever deals in agricultural product, fat and oil, fat product, beverage tobacco, fat product, beverage tobacco is there, and a complete detail on sales revenue, what they are getting from different products. So synthetic detergent, personal products, and this is the revenue, which how much percentage? 37.85 percentage. They are getting revenue from personal product. If we see product soap, that what amount they are getting in the year 2021, so they are getting the out of total income, they are getting 29.67% revenue from soap, only the soap business. So that is quite expected actually. As we can see, there are a lot of product soaps of Hindustan and Liver are in the market. So this is the granularity we are providing. The classification is almost same. Then I will quickly wrap it up in the report section. We'll take you through the, as most of the researchers are waiting for how you can query on the database. But what most of the things which you are seeing on the report viewer section, all of them can be extracted, easily extracted from the query builder section where you can build your query actually. So as Hindustan Unilever do not have currently any project either completed. So we are providing the outstanding currently announced under implemented project details over here. So for ACC Limited, there are a number of projects available. For Reliance Industries, we can check how many projects are there. For Reliance, there are a number of projects available. Merger and acquisition, you can look into whether the sales of asset has been done, or say merger or acquisition by the Reliance Industries has been done in the past or not. So Reliance Industries have, you know, acquired IMG Reliance Limited in December 2020, and other reports are relating to the index reports. So as this was a section where I have selected the companies, you can search any of the company. You can clear it from here, whatever company you have selected. Clear option. Predefined sets give you a power to select an industry and see how many companies are falling into that particular industry, or so select a particular indices. So we are giving the NSE BSE indices over here. Segment wise indices are available, like banking segment, or say mid cap, small cap. The COSME is the CMI, price index. So you can this cost provide you the 2000, approximately I will say 2000 stocks which are highly liquid, and it provide you the detail of those stocks actually. Let's say I'm selecting one of the industry, and you can always search an industry like drug and pharmaceutical. I'm selecting only drug, and I know that it is just belong to the chemical industry. So there is a drug and pharmaceutical industry over here. You can just execute your query. So select domain. So now the main portion while executing your query, first is to select a company or a set of a company or an industry. So I have selected an industry. My select domain should be all companies. All companies means it will search out drug and pharmaceutical out of the Provis database. All companies. It will search out drug and pharmaceutical out of all companies. Companies in the current OSC means if I have a set of companies and I want the data on those number of companies which I've selected, then I can select this particular domain. So right now, all companies output destination is OSC. That means the output will go to the output view. Execution is I want to add the data to any particular sheet which is into the output area, or I want to create a fresh sheet. So let's send it to the new fresh sheet, and by this option, send to new OSC. So this is how you can select an industry company and just execute and get those companies into your output area. Then you can, add the basic data or say the financial data on those set of companies. So this is the 900 companies in drug and pharmaceutical. You can rename as drug, drug, and you are just working on these companies. How many companies out of these are the top performer if we compare it on the basis of their sales or say total income? So I want to find out those companies in the year 2020 financial year. So there is a date format which I have used 2020-03, that is the March ending. In the financial year 2020, you can use any of the date format from this question mark over here. So it gives you, if you are looking for the time series data, you can use this fourth option like 2012-2015 for 3-year data. If you are looking for 1-year data, the second option is available, 2015-03, which I have used right now. Output date formats are also available, which is over here. You do not need to change the output date actually. It actually satisfies the query on date. So just write the query on date on which you want the data, select an indicator. You have some kind of limit, like you want the data for all these companies and to know whether how many companies are those whose total income is above 1000 crore. So currency is over here, 1000 I have written. Upper limit I am not mentioning, that from 1000 to 10,000 or say as much as it can, to look into the top performer into the drug and pharmaceutical. Now I'm going to change my domain, as 900 companies are from the drug and pharmaceutical. I want to work on those set of companies which are into the current output sheet. This time I got number of output destination. One is the OSC. So OSC will take data to the output view. Worksheet will take the data. These two options will take the data to the worksheet over here. Text format is the uh, way to extract the panel data, where you want all the things into the row, like number of days, and you can extract the data using this particular output destination option. Right now, I'm keeping it to the OSC and see how many companies satisfy my criteria. It will retain only those companies which satisfy the 1000 crore and above criteria for the total income. And in the same way, you can have your own criteria for doing any kind of research or say doing a particular project. You are finding out top 10 performance in an industry. You are looking for listed companies in a say any particular index. So you can work on that. You can look into the ownership wise, whether the company is central government owned. You are working on private Tata Group, Birla Group, or say JK Group companies, and you can work on that kind of activities by using the Provis database. So this is the data which I have added. So you can see the Sun Pharmaceutical has a total income highest, and if I scroll it down, only out of 900, only 60 company have satisfied my condition, 1000 crore and above income. So this is the list of 60 companies, and you can see the data have been added, and they have satisfied my criteria. And you can also add any number of kind of data which you want to add in this particular sheet. Like you want to add the data of identity indicator, like their entity type, whether they are private or public owned, their CIN code, their incorporation year, their industry group. Industry is sure drug and pharmaceutical, but you can always look into the main product from where they are getting. So main product actually shows you from which product they are getting more than 50% revenue. As you know, as the industry is the drug and pharmaceutical, NIC code ownership group, you can look which group they belongs. If the company is listed, it will tell you the NSE listing date if you're working on the listed companies. BSE listing date also, you can choose this particular option. And now you are going to add the data on that particular companies which are into the current output sheet, and just simply use this option, add data to the OSC over here. So I got the data on all those companies, that is 60. Entity type, incorporation year, industry, main product, as these all are belonging to the drug and pharmaceutical, but their main product from where they are getting more than 50% revenue is different. So Bharat Biotech, you can see over here, as this they are getting more than 50% revenue from a vaccine. And their NIC code, ownership group, and if they are listed with BSE and NSE, you will come to know their listing dates, and you can always look into the stock prices and other financial data on these companies. Let's say you want the financial data in the form of panel data. So you can look into let's say stock prices and ratios for these companies, 60 companies, drug and pharmaceutical. You want to know their closing price, their earning per share, their market cap, their share outstanding, their PE, PV, book value, their date will automatically will be fetched for these companies. But you can and you can query for, let's say you want the data from 2021 0701. So I'm just extracting the data for 30 or 60 days, I will say, from July and August for 2 months. 2021 08, and that is 31st is today. I will keep it 30 actually. Interval is daily. You can use and see the data for weekly, monthly, and quarterly if you are seeing the return. So you can always look into these monthly, quarterly, weekly, quarterly. There is an option for looking into the interval data. So you can, I'm just keeping it on the daily basis, the data, and extracting a panel data on these 60 companies. And those who are listed, you will get the data for last 60-day trading in the text format, and just sending it to the new OSCN over here. So once this query is executed, either you click on the new output to just know whether your data is ready or not, or you can come to the command history and planner to see how your command have executed or it's processing. So it says my last query on stock price is execution is okay, data is ready as the new output is blinking. And if you want to see the source of source where the particular text file is available, you can click on this show text directory on the text download, and just click on the download. It will take you, it will provide you the source folder where that particular text file is there. So this is a stock. I'm just going to open it on Excel sheet in order to show how it looks like. So this is the panel data. So I have extracted the data for only 60 2 months, and you can see as the data is available over here. So on RT drug is here. So the data is from July to August, and these are the closing price, share outstanding, market cap, earning per share. All these details are there. Slot date is available on which date particular the trading has been done. And similarly, another company, and you are getting all those data in the form of pen. Is it clear? Is
Yes,
any of the
Santosh.
Yeah. So I think we have a time still, let me navigate you between other triggers, so you can, and there is a way that if you have a different set of companies, like I have these two sets of companies. One is where 36 companies are listed. I got the tax data on these 36 companies. If you are working on unlisted companies, there is 60 companies. Some of them are listed, some of them are not, and you want to add the data in this particular sheet, then you can always make it as your current sheet. So right now, the blue color, you can see the C icon is there. So my current sheet is this. That means if I execute any of the query, the data will get added and the data will get executed in this set of company, that's 36. If I'm going to change my current sheet, so I have to click on this drug, this particular sheet, and there is a set current sheet option over here. So it will make, now it will make the 60 company as a current sheet. So data will add it to this particular sheet, not in the sheet which we, is of 36. You can delete any number of column if you want. So we'll just say this basic information, I'm just removing this basic information, like there is a delete column over here. You can also select this and you can delete the column. You can short the column, you can delete the column, you can save these companies name by save as Excel option. You can select a cell and you can copy and you can paste it anywhere. Let you want the data for 20-year or say 10-year on the company which are into output. So what you can do, you can come to this section over here. Now you want to know profit after tax for 10-year from 2010 03 to 2020 03. So this is the ease. You have just changed your the data time duration for which you want the data. You have changed your indicator. I want the data standalone data. Consolidated data is also available. Standalone data I have selected auto. This is a default. It automatically get selected the standalone, and you can extract this data on OSC for current companies, which is 60, and just add data to the OSC. So my output is getting ready for those 60 companies. I'm looking 10-year data, whether it is available or not. I think most of the companies are providing the data for 10 years since it has been included into the Provis database. You can quickly draw charts on these selective set of company to look how their profit after tax, as the indicator is only one, that is profit after tax. You can say you are just seeing 2015 to 2020 how these 10 companies are performing, and you can draw the bar graph over here and see this is the trend where or Aurobindo Pharma Limited is performing highest when you see the profit after tax, whereas this gray color Alchem Laboratories is also performing very good. So you can remove any of the companies whichever you are not interested, and you can just compare few of the companies where you have interest. Say from 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and you can and just use this chart on your projects. You can save, export, import the this particular report into your output sheet. Let's say you want the data on the director composition and director remuneration. So you can always look into this corporate governance detail. These all the triggers are relating to the corporate governance, like board meetings, subsidiary, banker auditors. and you can select like total remuneration, uh, their independent promoter, executive, non-executive, which you have seen in the report viewer section was also available. Number of board meeting if they have attended, their appointment date, a number of companies they are director in, and you can extract the data for the latest year 2020 03 in order to check. And as now the output destination, you can see the three options are available. OSC, if you select OSC, in the rows it will give only the company's name, whereas in the sub row there is a blank. That means if you select the output destination as a OSC, it will not give you a data, only it will give you the company's name. If you select worksheet, so it will give you a company's name also in the row, and in the sub row one, sub row two, directors and time detail. So you can always use this particular option where you are getting all those data. And you need to make it sure while executing a query that which output destination you are choosing. And just send to the new worksheet. So the query has been executed on the designation of directors. You can also search by promoters, like you want to know where the Rakesh Jhunjhunwala it's investing in which companies. So you can always search out that kind of promoters and see in which particular company they have a stake and what number of shares they are holding in that particular company. That is possible from our equity ownership detail, which is covered under ownership structure. So I got the data on those drug and pharmaceutical companies, their designation of directors, their remuneration, their number of board meeting attended for the year 2020 financial year. So this is the list of companies. This is the director designation, number of board meeting they have attended, what total remuneration they are getting, whether they are executive, non-executive, promoter, non-promoter, independent, what was the date of appointment, number of companies they are in director, actually, other companies where they are director. I will take a pause over here. I will like to know from the participants, uh, is they have any, if they are exploring Provis database or they are new to the Provis database, they have any such kind of query relating to the corporate data, or say listed, unlisted companies, any set of kind of data they are working into. Is my voice audible, Dr. Shikha?
Yes, Sudarshan, you are audible.
Yeah,
Uh,
Okay.
very much audible.
if there's any query to any participant, you can ask that. If you are searching for any data from Provis database, you can ask it from Sudarshan.
Yes, and Deepak, I think,
Yeah, Deepak, you
yes,
can
Mr.
unmute
Deepak.
yourself.
Hello, good evening all. Sir,
Yes, good evening, Deepak.
my
Yes,
query is basically related to corporate. One is that when we want to extract some
your
financial data
voice,
for a set of companies, we have two
your,
options.
okay.
Sorry, am I audible
Hmm.
properly? Okay, so
Yes,
when
yes, yes.
I just want
Yeah,
to extract
now
some
you're audible.
financial
Sometime
data.
your voice is getting.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry, sir. Actually, I just want to extract some financial data for set of companies, and then we have two options. One is
Hmm.
financial statements standalone, and one other is a financial statement as per Ind AS. So I just want to make
Hmm.
sure that the data that is given to the financial statement normally is as per
Hmm.
accounting standard, and I have a confusion that the company which published their report as per Ind AS.
Hmm.
So as far as their data is concerned, when you publish their data in normal financial statement, is there as per Ind AS or as per AS? They don't provide that. So is there
So
any mechanism to convert that data into AS format basically?
actually, what CMI is doing, it's um, It's mapping the accounting policies which they are following. So if some of the companies are following INDAS and
Okay.
some of are not, so what we do, we are mapping all those indicators and their data disclosure. And if you are using this particular annual financial statement, so it will map and it will provide you the mapped data actually, particularly. But if you are interested only in INDAS, so in that case, you should use this particular financial statement INDAS.
Okay, but sir, actually, NDS statement is not available for the last past, basically before 16. I hope it is
Yes,
not available.
yes, yes, yes. That is right.
So I just want to make sure that a CMI provides any mapping formula or and mapping ground on which they converted the
Yes,
data,
yes.
basically.
Of course, we do that. We
Okay.
provide the details where how we are mapping a company. We are also providing the indicators detail, how that particular indicators have been formed. So if companies, in the past, the gap companies are following the gap, and now Indian accounting standard. So when they have changed from gap to Indian accounting standard, so we have mapped all those figures how that numbers can be relevant and useful in doing a research. So what I can do, I can share you, as in the last session also I've shared the beta, how we are calculating the beta. I can share you the detail on Indian accounting standard also. That's why, as this kind of query, I will simply I will say the seek clarification is the much better way to interact, and as such kind of take a much clarity on such granular queries, where you can get into directly connected with our product team, which is managing the Provis database. What they do, you want a clarity on, say, formula or definition, or say you want a clarity on a company, so like data definition and formula you want, so you can mention over here in a message that how you are mapping INDAS and gap, how you are making the numbers much meaningful when the companies, some of the companies. So if you're comparing some in a industry, some are following INDA, some are not. So how you are doing a peer comparison, how you are making that meaningful. So you can write such kind of short query over here, and you can post it, and within a day, the analyst team just get back to you and just they mail you whatever query you have. They just give you the clear picture how such kind of queries can be addressed.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Deepak.
Just as a
Any
supplementary to Deepak's question,
Yes,
Deepak, as far as I understand, they are providing the information which is available in the reports.
a
But
report.
if any transformation is needed, because for some of the years this Ind-AS data you go back for the bigger companies for whom it has become mandatory for last 4 or 5 years. Now previous data is not available in that format, so I don't know whether CMI would be doing that transformation. That some researcher has to do.
Yes. So what
Yes, sir.
actually, if you come into this report view section, so under financial statement, I will like to little bit more clarify the query. So if you see the annual financial, there is a executive summary over here. So there in every year you can see the data in this report is clearly visible whether they are following which particular procedure. So there is a gap followed in 2002 onwards, and if there is a change from 2016 onwards, so the data is aligned over here. So if you are querying on the database, so automatically it shows, the after 2016, the data is for NDIS. And but what I will do, I will also discuss that how we are mapping that, particularly when you are comparing a company with another, and one is following gap and one is following NDIS, or say. So I will just look into that, but in report view section, it's clearly visible that this data is for gap and NDIS. Yes, Gaurav, I hope I have answered your query to some extent. on the the NDIS and the gap.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other query from any of the
Sushma
participants?
has a query. Sushma Maurya.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
I want to ask two things. First, that the companies on BSE Finance Index or any other, can we
Mm.
get the data on their listing status also? Like in what other exchanges are they listed?
You can do that actually. So there is an index constituents which we can track whether how many company out of, let's say, BSE Sensex have been moved out and have been brought in over a period of time. You can look into in which index that particular company is, and so there is a index over here, index constituents. So index constituent will help you out in finding how the index have changed over a period of time.
No,
So
I'm
if
asking if that company has got listed itself on some other index of a foreign country.
okay, other index of a foreign country.
Yeah.
No, no, no. That will not be possible as we are providing the NSE and BST, indices details. So the I will say the financials and even the stock market details are for the Indian, you know, mm, I will say for India. But outside India, you cannot trace whether they are in any other exchange or not.
Okay. Secondly, I want to ask, apart from the CSR activity, is there
Hmm.
any other details regarding their sustainability reports or data on sustainability?
So uh, CSR disclosure, what you can do. Reports are provided in the annual reports over here in the news and extracts, where as this is a qualitative report, so you can read out the disclosure what they have made in the CSR disclosure in order to get much more granularity actually. So in the queryable section, we are providing just the numbers where you can look into the CSR disclosure from annual report over here. So there is a CSR disclosure which is made, you know, and you can extract that kind of data. But if you want to understand how the CSR disclosure overall, the qualitative data, you can look into that particular report. But sustainability report is not provided by default in our system.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, but you can get that particular page which wherever which is picked from the annual report. So you can pick like this is the CSR report for March 2021. So this is the page of the annual report. We have picked the number of corporate social responsibility from this particular report, but you can go through the complete detail which is provided over here. So this is
Okay. Got it.
the 4 or 5 page report, and you can always read out this in order to get much more clarity on that.
These are the CSR sections basically of the annual report of a company.
Yes, yes. And for every company, you will find this CSR disclosure is,
Okay.
you do not need to download a full annual report which is provided over here, but you can
Good.
download a particular CSR reports which is provided just beneath over here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And the interesting figure is that you can search a company and then you can just download your reports. You can search another company, you can download your reports on CSR, and you can just get into that particular. So
Okay. Thanks a lot.
whenever you search a particular company, so automatically on the left side you get news relating to that particular company from different news agencies. Your stock notices and stock announcement for the Reliance industry as I've selected. So if you see the
This
news,
information will be available for all the companies of a particular index.
yes, you can search any of the company, almost every company we are providing. So that means all the data on listed companies very easily accessible actually. So if you are looking
Okay.
for listed companies, I will say 100% every company stock announcement, stock notices, and news links are provided over here.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
So these are the news links, and you can look from where this particular news has been sourced. So this gives you the business standard news articles and on the particular date actually, and you can read out all those news articles relating to a particular company. What else we are providing in this particular knowledge base for researchers? We have this database dictionary which researcher can download, where they can see the description of every indicator and how that indicator has been formed to make the data much more standardized. So this is a PDF. User can come to this section where I will say this is the database dictionary. And let's say, suppose some of you are interested in how CMI is calculating PBDITA. Under annual financial, you can just get into the profits. Under profits, so every section we have this derived indicators. So measure of profit, and this is PBDITA. So a detailed description how we are calculating PBDITA, and the formula is mentioned over here. So this, I think this will be useful for the researcher to look how we are calculating every indicator, and they just not only from the website, they can come to this advanced query, and from advanced query they can just click on particular indicator. Over here also I can just get into the derived indicator and see how PBDITA is calculated by just clicking right click, and you can just view the expressions. So this is the expression, and this is the formula how we have calculated at level 1, at level 2. So transparency is there in our database. You can select any multiple number of, so we can have an advanced session where we can relate the advanced query. We can create if and but formulas, that how if you are doing such kind of research where you need to frame your own formulas in order to get and see the data on any set of companies, you can frame that kind of formulas and you can save it to the template. We are providing the default templates over here. So default templates gives you access to the reports on profitability, on different kind of ratios, on banking reports. So if you are interested into the financial ratios like profitability, so this single template may make 29 indicators where you will get all those profitability details over here. So if I extract the data, say for 2020 financial year on the profitability ratios, you can send it to the new worksheet. So default templates are available. You can use such kind of default templates in order to extract the data on profitability, liquidity ratios, on their say cash flow statements. So the data is getting ready for a set of companies. You can just check on which set of companies we are executing that particular data. So it's 58 companies over here. So this is the data where indicators are mentioned over here: profitability indicators, return on investment, on capital employed, total assets, margin on income, and you can compare a company with the company and see all those companies on the column, and you can just navigate between the companies and quickly draw the charts by insert chart option.
Mr. Negi, when you were showing this CSR section of Reliance, so you said
Yes.
there were few pages, and so there was at least a lot of data. But all
Mhm.
companies may not be disclosing everything, because some may fall in the category of mandatory and some may be voluntary.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes,
but
of course.
when you build up your database, how do you go about it? You capture all of it, or you capture only the mandatory part?
We capture, we do not do mandatory or say what but whatever is disclosed by a company in their annual reports, we capture all those things. If it is not mandatory for XYZ company, but they are disclosing it, so we do present it in our report viewer sections also, and in our queryable section.
But let's say of the three companies or two companies, if they're not following the standard terminologies across, because it's not part of mandatory, so how do you sort out that issue?
So if the company, as it is not a mandatory, so if the company is not providing, then of course, it will not be available in the Provis database, as like number of employees, I will say, energy disclosures. There are several other data points which is not mandatory, but majorly company what do, the major companies normally disclosure their details, I will say. Even these kind of details are disclosed by some of the financial services companies, but majority of the big companies, they disclose such kind of data on CSR. Yes, Dr. Surendra, so
Yeah,
I answered your query. Is
yeah, you answered quite substantially. I was asking if there is a terminology issue when it comes to voluntary disclosures.
No, there is no such kind of terminology issues in that case particularly, because we are not giving that this is as this is mandatory or not mandatory, whether they should we are just giving whatever is provided by or say filed by a company with the registrar, and then we are capturing all those data from the MCA and building it and providing it in a very say transparent way. Whatever is disclosed, we are giving it to the our users actually.
I think there are some more questions.
Yes, 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 please.
Yeah. Sudarshan, you were showing something, na? Like, if I am today finding out the data about Sensex, then it will show the list of the 30 companies which are listed today on Sensex.
Yes,
So,
of course.
can I also find out the data of the companies which have been delisted in the past 5 years? Say? Is it possible
Yes,
to do that?
yes, of course you can do that.
Okay.
There are number of ways how you can do that particularly. One is you can get to all the listed companies if you are working on all the listed companies. So under predefined set, so as we know, 500 something companies are listed. So there is a listed and permitted companies over here. So if I execute this on searching out all those listed by all companies, just sending it to the new output sheet, it will give me approximately 5070 or 80 companies. Then you can add the basic indicator whether they got delisted or listed in any of the exchange, BSE or NSE. One way is to track that. And if you want to track a particular period from which period to which they got delisted, so that is also possible in, for a particular index, or say a set of companies which are falling in either of the sectoral index, or say BSE Nifty 50, or that kind of. So like I got all the listed companies, 5076. These are all the listed companies. You can come to this identity indicator over here. So it gives you the BSE listing date, first trading date, and the date of delisting from NSE and BSE.
Okay.
So if you are say working on a list, suppose, and you want to see is any of the company got delisted in the previous year or any of the year, so you can just use this option as date of delisting on NSE and date of delisting on BSE. BSE suspended date is also provided over here. And just if you change your domain, so as these all are listed, so it will not show exactly as currently all those are listed. So you can just simply add the kind of data mm, on those all companies. I've just added these two indicators over there. Before that data get ready, another section from where you can do and extract such kind of data is the index constituents, like changes in index constituent. This is the area where you can see if you want BSE Sensex companies, that is 30, and you want to see all all data from the beginning of the time when the Sensex was formed, how which company came out and goes out of the BSE Sensex index. And you can just execute it on all companies, OSC, and just send to the new OSC. The two sheets are there. One is for BSE Sensex, how it is getting changed over a period of time. See, uh, one as these all companies are listed, currently listed, 5076. Some of the companies you can see the date is mentioned over here, which are currently listed, but they got delisted in the year 2018. Some of them got delisted in 1997. If we scroll 2001, you can short it, let's say short it by descending, in order to get almost how many companies which are listed currently, they got delisted in any of the previous year. So this is the list C. In 2021, this is the list of companies which are currently listed but got delisted on this particular date. And you can scroll. There are a lot number of companies which every year got delisted. In 1997, large number of companies are there. And the same thing you can look for. The one delisting is for NSE, another one is for the BSE one.
Okay.
Second sheet which can be useful, this is the BSE Sensex Index Company. So if we see and the current 30 companies which are listed. So this is the list of 93 companies, and out of these 93 companies, in the between of the period, you can see 2019 this was delisted, and previous to that, in these 5 years it got delisted. In 2012, Dr. Reddy was the part of BSE Sensex. Then 18, 19, and 20, for this period, it got delisted. Again, it got listed into the BSE Sensex. Is it clear?
Yes, Sudarshan, thank you.
So you
Sunita,
can.
yeah.
I think Sunita has raised hand, and
Yes.
also before she asks the question, let me welcome Professor CP Gupta who has joined, and
Yeah. Good
maybe he has something to say
Good evening, sir.
to all the researchers who are presently available.
Yes, Surinder, thank you.
evening. Yeah.
I
Good
came
evening,
to know late, but
Dr. Gupta.
welcome. Mr. Negi, I think it is your first interaction with our PhD students.
Actually, the last session there were some PhD students. Last session we had just 2 or 3 weeks back.
Okay, okay,
And in that, the same, we have done a basic session where I was addressing the queries of some of the researcher and faculties.
okay.
Yeah,
Sir, last
but
year
it
when
was
we had
very
taken the subscription, so Rajiv Ranjan had taken two sessions, one beginning level and then second advanced level. And
advanced. Okay.
this year, this is the second session at the beginning level that Mr. Negi is taking, and we plan to take up and we plan to organize an advanced session also.
Yeah.
Uh, Mr. Sudarshan, actually, we are the advanced users, so we wish to have some kind of a macro, right?
Yes, yes.
Commands which we can store and we can run them again and again so that we can save our time.
So that is possible in our Provis database.
Yes, it
Normally,
is possible. If you go
yes,
to the history, you have the list of the commands,
there is a list of commands. So
right?
these commands can be used by the users. So if I think every user have their personal IDs. So once they will log in, they will find these commands which they have executed earlier. So what they can do, they just need to look clearly whether what kind of command these are. So if I see this particularly, I have selected a company. If you want the basic information, so this is the query which I have executed on director designation, director designation. So if I want to make a batch, I need to be sure what exact data I want on any of the set of the companies. So
Right.
what I can do, let me show you example. So let's say I want the data, the basic information. One is this. I want the data on their annual financial, these two things, and you can just save it as a remote storage. So these two data I want, you can, save 50, 30 indicators on a one command. You can add number of commands in a batch and just need to frame a batch like pgdav. Just save it. Once you have saved this particular batch, you do not need to select on the data or say financial indicator. You do not need to run that kind of thing which we have run earlier. You just need to get into the companies and sets where the user batch are available and just reload your user batch and see whether your pgdav batch is there. So there is a pgdav batch where two commands are recorded, actually saved. So now you want these two commands to be executed on any set of company. What you have to do, just select a set of company. Like I came to the predefined sets and I want the data on, say, these 50 company. I will just select these 50 company, send to the new output sheet, and then I will come to the batches section where I have selected the pgdav batch and uh, just execute your batch. There's an execute selected batch option is there.
But are we supposed to take the commands before
You,
we execute?
there is
Because there is a box.
no need to exactly take the term
Because
commands.
there is a box along with that.
These are the checkbox. In case you want to alter these commands, you can always view dialog over here.
Okay.
If you want to alter these command, like it will directly redirect you to the area from where that particular command has been framed. So I was just searching the date of delisting on NSE and BSE. That is the particular one command. Whereas if you see the second command, you can see this was relating to the financial statement. You can view that particular command too, that what kind of data we are getting. In this particular, we will be getting the profit after tax actually for the 10 year. So you
Right.
can always change the date period for which you want. Or if you are looking for the same kind of data, same indicator, you want to add the number of indicator, you can absolutely add that kind of indicator over here.
Where these batch files are saved?
This batch file is remotely saved, so you can access it from anywhere.
Okay.
So there are two options of
With the
saving a
same login,
batch.
right? It should be with
Ye-
the same login.
yeah, login should be same.
Right.
If you have your personal ID, user ID, and the password, you will find the batches, all batches which you have saved. There are two options where you want to save the batch. So the best option I will say, you just save it to the remote storage. It will get saved to the cloud.
It
So
also
the
save to local disk, right?
local disk. That means if you are saving it to your computer system, and in case you use and want to access that batch from any other system, then that will not be possible actually. So the best way is to save it as a remote storage. You can access it remotely from anywhere.
But when you save it as the local disk, you cannot access it later on.
That is actually saved into this particular system, my particular laptop.
Right.
And if you are using from this laptop, then you can access it anytime actually.
Okay.
But
Okay.
if you are changing your system, then that in
Then
that
it's
case
a
you will
problem.
not be
Then
available.
it's a problem. So how to recall the saved file from the disk?
So where actually there is a C drive where we are providing all those batches details. So if you come into this particular U batch is over here. So under batch PGDAV batch I have created.
So double click on it, it will be opened, right?
So this is a batch actually. You can share this batch file with any of them, any of the users. So there is a way how you can download a batch file. So you can come to the query builder. Even I can share you a batch file. So if you want that I should make a batch file of 50 indicator and send it to you, like this is the PGDB batch file. You can download a batch file from here,
Right.
and you can download a PGDB batch file, and it will just please, it will just say like I want this PGDB batch file, and it will download, and like I can save it on my desktop actually.
How to recall it? How to download from the desktop?
So
Just double
this
click on it or what?
no. Actually, the file is in the BT format. If any other user want to extract same kind of data, they need to upload this file on their system. So as I got this on my desktop, the user, if any other user, if they do not have it on their batch file, they can upload it from here, upload option, and then it will show you the PGDAV batch file,
Okay.
and it will get uploaded. So it's saying the batch file PGDAV is already exist as I have created it. If you have you want another file or want to create,
Okay.
and
Okay.
you just ask me to just create a new batch file, I will send you, and just you can upload that particular batch file.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Thank you. So
So let's
some
see,
other people are having
let's
questions.
yeah, let's see the data. I think I've extracted some of the companies, and the batch file was executed actually. So we have not seen what kind of data is extracted by that particular batch which we have framed.
Right.
But we can always see the data is for 10-year. The batch file data is this one. This is the 10-year data on profit after tax on those 50 companies. So I have selected, first step was I have selected the Nifty 50, and then I have executed on those Nifty 50. I have executed my batch file. So I got this data for the 10-year
Right.
using that, and this is the ease actually, for getting that kind of data.
Okay. So Sunita is having questions. So
Yes, Sunita. Sorry to keep you waiting.
No, sir,
that's
it's
all.
okay. Good evening, all.
Yeah, good evening.
I have a small query. I have written also in the chat box. If we are interested in identifying the gender of the director, like the number of female directors and the number of male directors in a particular company, so can we identify from it?
There is a possibility in identifying, but we do not have a exactly say denoting a particular indicator that Mr. or Mrs. But if as I have extracted a sheet where we can see the director's name, I think this was the sheet. This was the name actually. So these were the names where directors were available. In some of the cases, what happens, the directors' names start from Mrs. and Misters. So if in the annual report, the disclosure is like Mr. Sushil Kumar Gupta or say Miss Pratima, so we are capturing it straight format as it is available into the provided in the annual report. As this particularly you can see Sipla, there is a Samina. So this is miss overwritten over here. There is a miss again written over here. So it depends upon the kind of disclosure the annual report is showing. This is Shri written over here in the name. And in the same way, somewhere professors, somewhere doctors, misses, and it's actually showing the disclosure what is made in the data which is disclosed into the annual reports.
So you mean the
Oh,
gender information as such is not
yes, yes.
disclosed?
No,
Because Miss is also not added with all the names. Like Umang,
yes, yes,
there
yes.
was one name Umang, so we cannot identify whether that Umang is female director or male director.
Of course, ma'am. That is that. So actually, the major thing is that it depends upon company to company whether, but in some of the cases you will find miss as written over that. But we do not have such exactly the kind of indicator where you can track the Mr. Mrs. For directors or say promoters.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. Any other question from any of the participants?
Uh, there are no more questions, I guess. If
Oh,
there,
okay.
yeah, if there are any other queries that can be texted to us and we'll pass it on. Otherwise, they can be also taken up when we'll conduct our advanced session for the Provis.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah,
We can just clear it on that particular session. I
right.
have mentioned my email in the chat box in case some of the users want have such kind of query and they just want me to clarify. I will be happy to address their query. I just mentioned my email ID that is snegi@cmie.com. Uh,
Thank you so
so
much, Darshan. Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining. In case if any of the participant have any query, they can just drop me a mail. They can just call me up, and either they can just connect through Dr. Faith, Shikha. I'll be happy to address that.
And the recording of the session is also available on our college website. So if anybody wants that, you can visit the college website. The recording would be there for the session. Surinder
Uh,
sir, CP Gupta sir, you would like to say something?
Right, right. It was a very nice. Though I was having a class, so I joined late. But the kind of the advanced things you told us, I think that will be of great help. And many researchers can do a lot of automation and save their time by your you know tricks, by your tools which you have explained to the researchers. Thank you, Mr. Negi.
of course,
Thanks a lot.
Dr. Gupta.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, in the advanced session, we will surely guide all those participants and all those users how they can save just their time, and the data extraction. They can just invest their time in the analysis and interpretation of their reports actually. So it will be very useful. Let's see, when we can hope we can organize the session very soon for the advanced query on the Provis database. Thank you, Dr. Shikha, for organizing this session.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, all the participants, for
Thank you,
joining.
everyone,